Okay. Okay, so we are recording. Great. So big apologies to everyone for the internet not cooperating earlier, but we are going to get your questions answered, and thanks for sticking with us. So again, Elisa Meredith from Tailwind, Jenn from Jenn Trends, Jenn Herman, and we are talking about shadow ban. So let's start from the beginning, Jenn, because technology. Shadow ban. I see it everywhere. People are freaking out about it. How do we define shadow ban?
So shadow banning in general, in definition, is the idea that Instagram is actually hiding your content from hashtag searches. The idea that if you use hashtags, that people who are following you will see your post in that hashtag hub, but somebody who is not following you would not see it. That is the proposed kind of theory as to what shadow banning is. Instagram and Facebook will never admit to it. If you say this word to them, they basically shut down like a bank vault and have absolutely no opinion on it. So you can't ask them outright because they'll say it doesn't happen. They won't even give you any explanation because they won't even touch that topic. But that's in theory what it is.
So is the idea that if you use any hashtags this happens, or is it just certain hashtags?
And that's where there's some confusion. Some people say, that it happens no matter what hashtags they use. There's this whole proposed theory that if you use a banned hashtag, it'll discredit all of your hashtags, which for the record is completely false. It's so not true. And the thing is, like, hashtag July 4th was actually banned around July 4th. Because it was just so much content that they stopped showing content on that hashtag. But guess what? All of my hashtags still works, even though that one was technically banned and I was using it. So it's not that at all. And someone came out, I don't know who, I don't know where it started, but somebody came out and said,
you're going to track them down.
What was happening. I really want to. Like, the first person who came up with shadow banning was a photographer. I have figured that out. I've figured out who started this whole theory. I have not figured out who said the whole banned hashtag cancels all hashtags. I haven't worked that one out yet.
Yeah.
But that's not true. And it's really more to do with algorithmic sorting. So Instagram is looking at a hashtag hub, and it's going to sort the content that you see. So if you happen to go look at a hashtag that is related to the kind of things you normally look for, they're going to show you content algorithmically that they think you're most likely to engage with, that is most relevant to that. So for example, if you go and look up hashtag beach day, they're not going to show you anything that's not necessarily related to a beach, because they're going to sort content based on the actual hashtag and finding content that matches it via the AI. And metadata in the photo, as well as content you typically engage with. If you typically engage with hotels, then they're going to show you hotels who are using hashtag beach day versus somebody who, maybe has nothing to do with content that you normally engage with. So there's a lot of factors that are now going into the hashtag results, which is why people are like, well, my content's not showing up and I got banned. I'm like, no, there's an algorithm. It's just, again, just like everything else with social media, when algorithms get introduced, everybody freaks out and everybody has to adapt.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have seen people blame the platform they're using maybe to schedule. Yeah. And then, so we call them banned hashtags, but it's not, I would kind of like to retire that phrase and call them inactive hashtags, right? Because that's all it is. It just doesn't work. It's just a waste of a hashtag space that you could use on something else that might work, but it doesn't penalize you in any way.
And that's just it. There's no negative impact. You're just wasting. I mean, if you're using 30 hashtags and you waste 3 of them on inactive hashtags, then you wasted 3 hashtags. If you're using 17 hashtags and you use 2 inactive, then it really doesn't matter because you only got 15 good ones anyways. But yeah, they're not banned. It just kind of somehow that kind of kicked up, and that's the word that's been associated with it. And then when the shadow banning thing grew, that kind of like really drove that terminology. But yeah, it's really more, it's inactive. If you click on them, they don't produce results.
Okay. So we've been conditioned by Instagram to use hashtags in order to get people to find us and find our content and get new followers. So what are we supposed to do now?
Well, you still use hashtags. I'm still 100% behind using hashtags. You just have to be much more selective. So the big thing right now is, I'm advocating that you don't use the popular hashtags. So don't use hashtags that have hundreds of thousands or millions of posts associated with them, because A, your content is so deep in that saturated hub anyways that it's kind of irrelevant. But that's where I'm finding more of that shadow banning is happening. It's when you use those popular hashtags. The more you get niche specific and more directly related to your content and your account and your interactions, the more we see the engagement go up. So again, this comes to the algorithmic type thing. So for me, I use things like hashtag Instagram marketing and hashtag Instagram training, because that's what I do. I have a blog post. It's on Instagram. It's probably going to be a hashtag Instagram training, right? Like, that makes sense. Me using things even like hashtag entrepreneur and hashtag girl boss isn't irrelevant to my content, but they're so popular that they start. So the more niche specific you can get, the more detail oriented you can get, the better off it is from that perspective. And we all know that Tailwind has the super awesome hashtag search feature. Just a little shout out. So you can use that and go find hashtags that are related to your content and try out different ones. You may find, if I tried this one, all of a sudden I get great engagement, and the ones I was using 3 weeks ago aren't working so well anymore. Mix them up, play with different ones, but keep using them. Just use them much more strategically and selectively.
Yeah, that's a great point. And something that I like about the hashtag finder, and we now have it on mobile as well, is it will tell you, so this is like in the best category. This is good. This is niche. This is competitive, meaning you're going to get lost, right? So if you have kind of a mix of all of them, but don't do so many competitive, then you're probably going to be better off. So have you seen your engagement go down with this
Absolutely.
change? You have?
100%. I would say my engagement is down almost 30 to 50% from what I was getting a couple months ago. And it's kind of like I'll have a post that all of a sudden performs really well, but you know what that content is? It's really good content. It's the content that my audience really wants to see. Like when I announce something, or I do something out of the ordinary, or I share some really exciting news, or I have a really good photo with a really good story, that content is back up where my engagement used to be. So it really is stressing, and I still keep posting this content that maybe doesn't perform as well because it's relevant. Like, for example, a new blog post comes out. I always advertise my blog posts. Those posts don't tend to get as much engagement right now for me because they're more graphical. They're more like, they have the text over them that says what the blog post title is, and they're more monochromatic, and they aren't as appealing. But I'm still going to post them because it's valuable to my business and to my audience to see those posts. But I know I'm not going to get great engagement because now, with the last 2 months, I have seen that consistently. And so this is pushing to the reality of the better the content, the better the engagement. If you're producing crappy content, you're going to get crappy engagement because you can't rely on hashtags and robots to come out and throw up 100 likes in 5 minutes like we used to be able to.
Right. Okay, so let's pretend that hashtags went away completely. How would people find new people to follow on Instagram? How would you get new people to find you?
So, not to scare everybody, but I promise you that's going to happen.
What?
I will guarantee that within 2 to 3 years, maybe sooner, I will guarantee, I'm putting it out there, in 2 to 3 years, we won't even use hashtags on Instagram. I will put money on that, honestly.
Wow. Now you have witnesses.
It's not the first time I've said it. So I've got a lot of witnesses out there, and people are like, we're going to hold you to this.
Yeah.
We don't want it to be true, but the reality is the platform is evolving. Instagram is not what it used to be. They are doing a lot to control that level of interaction and engagement, and they are going to make it harder to build that audience. We all love Instagram because it was super easy to build huge audiences, but guess what? 90% of the people that have these huge audiences are fake audiences. We all saw when they did those wipes and came through and cleaned out like all those fake followers, like even people like Justin Bieber lost like 3 million followers overnight or something ridiculous. It's crazy when you think about how much fake activity was out there. So Instagram was like, no, we're going to cut back. We're going to make this legit and real. And people who are used to these high levels of engagement and interactions and followers are having a panic attack because now they're not growing like they used to. But here's the thing, now what's happening is much more authentic, and that's what's going to continue to happen. So to embrace that, you need to embrace it, accept it, get your boss on board, tell people this is happening, tell them, you're not going to see growth of 1,000 people a month anymore. It may be a couple hundred a month. Mine hasn't, I've gone up and I kind of gone back down and go back up. Mine hasn't grown much in the last month. I get new followers every day, but it's been very slow compared to what I used to get. That's totally okay, because I know the people who are following me are legitimate. So to answer the question, how you're going to want to use stories. Instagram stories is right now, that's their huge push. And I don't think it's coincidental that they're pushing Instagram stories and all of a sudden hashtags are not working as well. Just saying.
Okay.
So they're pushing Instagram stories. They want you on there. And if you use hashtags and location tags on your stories, you will actually have a really good chance of showing up in hashtag and location searches on Instagram. So they're pushing this content where you don't want to go and put 30 hashtags on an Instagram story post. Let's not go crazy now. You can do 1 or 2. But if you had a 10-post story and you did a hashtag on each one, then you would have 10 hashtags that you have potential to show in those hashtag searches. Likewise, geotagging. So if you're, if you're at an event, you're at a conference, you're at your local business, you're any of that kind of stuff, use that location tag. Even just use your city tag. I could just tag San Diego, and there's a chance I will show up in that San Diego hashtag search or that San Diego location search. So this is the best way right now to get new eyeballs out of the blue, is to use Instagram stories and use hashtags or the location tags. But you also want to do things like run contests, ask people to tag their friends in your comments. Like whenever I do a blog post now, I say, click on the link in my bio to read this now, and tag any of your friends in the comments below who would find this beneficial or useful or valuable or whatever. And so now I say that, and you go read my post, and you're like, oh, yeah, this is a great post. Hey, at so-and-so, make sure you check this out. And they may be already following me, and this is their reminder, or they may not be following me, and now they're going to find me. So rely on your audience to help you grow. Influencer marketing is a whole huge, massive topic, but you can use that for exponential growth and reach by reaching out and doing shout outs with other brands that are aligned with you and influencers. So there's a lot of things people can do. You're just going to have to get very strategic and very dedicated to that process and not rely on the fact that you can just show up and grow your audience exponentially anymore.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So when you're doing your story, like if you do a 10-part story and you use one hashtag in each one, would you use different hashtags in each one, or would you use the same one and hope to kind of tell Instagram that I'm really talking about this one thing?
It totally depends. Like, let's say like you're at a social media conference. Like I was at Social Media Day back in June. So I used the SMDASD hashtag on almost every story post because that's what it was. It was an event. That was a hashtag I wanted to show up in and draw traffic to and have people find me from that hashtag. So I was pretty much consistently using that one. You could use other related hashtags. I could have used hashtag conference, hashtag networking. There's, I could have put other things in there. We did a shoe fee, so I did put a hashtag shoe fee on one of them. So who knows, I probably showed up in one of those hashtag searches. By the way, I'm totally known for those if you guys don't know that.
Yes, your shoes.
Yes, the obsession with the shoes. So we do shoe selfies, the shoe fees.
Oh, and by the way, it's genetic because I've seen your daughter in your shoes.
And I got it from my mom. Like I was wearing her heels when I was a little kid, and my 2-year-old is literally walking in my heels. It's crazy to me. And she does it every day. She goes and pulls them off the shelf, puts them on, and walks around. This is not like a day. It happens all the time. It's crazy. She loves just being in my shoes. It's so adorable. But yeah, so you can mix up the hashtags. If you're at an event, you might want to consistently use that one. If you're promoting your business, you might want to use different ones. So let's say you're a restaurant. You might want to use your restaurant hashtag. You might want to use your city hashtag. You might want to use, something that's trending in your city that's kind of related, and you want to get that acknowledgement of traffic. It could be something, hashtag happy hour. You could find different things to include that will help tie it in. But the biggest thing, if you are a local business, is to use that local hashtag. Use your city tag, use your neighborhood tag, use your location tag. Those ones are where people are going to find you, because let's say like I'm in San Diego, but I might turn around and be like, well, I'm at this event over here in, Escondido. So I might or put the location tag for Escondido. I could still show up in the San Diego search because they know that Escondido is technically within the San Diego limit. Oh. So just because I didn't use San Diego doesn't mean I won't show up in that bigger search result. So you can use narrow, fine kind of areas and still show up in your bigger geographical searches. So don't feel like you have to use the big one to get seen. It's actually almost better to use the smaller ones because you look a little bit more niche and a little bit more like geo-specific, and then you'll get pulled into the big ones where now people who are looking at San Diego will see posts from all around the city in different locations. So it's more appealing in some ways to actually use a narrower focus for the geolocation.
Yeah, okay. Those are great ideas. So you mentioned, one of the things you mentioned was doing contests. So is the idea with that, you get people to enter the contest, you tag somebody? Is that kind of how it works?
For that kind of growth, it's usually a really easy, 3-step, entry. They have to like the post, they have to follow your account, and they have to tag 2 people in the comments below, which, for the record, this is not in violation of Instagram rules.
Okay, that's good to know.
Facebook rules are super complicated. Yeah. Facebook rules, there's all the don't share and don't tag and don't ask your audience to do your exposure for you. Instagram, that's okay. For right now, at least, the rules on Instagram are very liberal.
Okay.
So you can absolutely do this on Instagram and yeah, exactly. Take advantage of it before it changes.
Yeah.
As soon as we hit live on this, that's going to change it, right? They always do that to me. The moment I say something in a podcast, Instagram changes the rules.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's very open. You can say tag 2 people, at least 2 people in the comments below. And so the great thing is, if I have 5 people participate in that contest and they each tag 2 people, and then each of those 2 people tag 2 people, with 5 original entrants, you can easily get 40, 50, 60 participants, and it doesn't take a lot of work on your behalf. And it's a really easy thing to do. They don't have to create content and post photos and use hashtags and do a bunch of stuff. So it's easy for them to participate. They're more likely to do it. You want your contest prize to be something related to your business, but it can also be small value because it's a small level contribution to participate. Right. So don't try and be like, oh, like our photo, follow our account and tag people and you can win a brand new car. No, not so much. But maybe they can get a 20% coupon. Maybe they can get a $25 gift certificate. Maybe they can get a free half-hour consultation. Whatever it is, you can find something of a low value as a teaser, but enough interest that people will want to participate and tag their friends and drive that interest. You don't want to be like, okay, we'll do this and I'll give you a free sticker. They're like, no, I'm good. No one needs another free sticker.
I don't know, I like free stickers.
You want something of an equivalent value to what you want out of it from their participation.
That makes a lot of sense. So there are kind of 2 parts of this shadow ban. One being that people can't find you. The other being that your engagement is really low. So you said for the engagement part, post really good content, and you said that some of your content that doesn't do real well is just the blog post updates, and I've seen that myself over and over again. But it's still important to share it. So can you generalize about what is good content?
Yes and no. First and foremost, less content, better content. Yeah. So I'm right now recommending 3 to 5 posts a week top. If you're posting 2 to 3 times a day, that's too much because you can't create that much good content. You cannot create so much awesome content that you can post 3 times a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Yeah, your content is going to drop off. And it saturates. And the more content you're creating, we know how algorithms work. They're going to show one post and they're going to bury everything else because you're posting too much content. If you're only posting once every other day, then Instagram goes, oh, they haven't seen anything from you in a while. Boop. And they're going to bump it up higher in the feed. So less content is already an advantage. And if you're only creating 3 posts a week, you can put more time into those posts. If you're spending 4 hours a week creating your Instagram content, and that's creating 12 posts, imagine how many awesome posts you could create if you're only doing 3 posts in 4 hours. Yeah. So you can do better photography. I highly recommend segmenting your time. Literally set aside an hour a week just to do photo shoots. Get the right lighting, get your props, plan ahead. Do all your photos in advance so that you're not scrambling all of a sudden on Tuesday at 5 o'clock to be like, oh, I didn't get a photo for today. Oh, okay, here, snap. Well, do a couple filters and we'll throw it out there. That is not good content. Planned content is good content. So if you can take the time, have a strategy, know what you're going to say, when you're going to say it, why you're saying it, and then building your content around that. But getting those good photos, taking the time to edit and filter and create that cohesive gallery too. When you if there are certain accounts that are branded really well, because the moment you see that photo in your feed, you know it's that brand, you know it's that person, and you stop because you know the moment you saw the photo that it's theirs and you want to see it. And you want to do everything you can to create that. And that comes from the good styling, the good photos, the good editing. Maybe you do the whitewash thing. Maybe you do the deep saturation thing. Maybe you do a vintage filter. Maybe you do black and white. Whatever it is, you're going to create your style. And as you figure that out and elaborate on that, your audience will learn to expect your content to look like that. And they're more likely to engage because they know it's yours.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And something that Tailwind released too is the 9 grid preview. So you can see as you're scheduling things, how it's going to look on your 9 grids on your profile. That's pretty cool.
Which is super helpful because then you can make sure that your content you don't have sometimes we have that one outlier that you still really want to post, but it doesn't really mesh. But this way you can make sure it sits against something that's a little bit closer and it's not against something that's completely opposite. And so, having that 9 grid preview can be really helpful in making sure that your content is flowing much more consistently and telling a better story.
Right. Yeah. So people go for the checkerboard look. So they'll have a bright picture and then black and white and bright. Yes. All kinds of ways to do it. It still makes sense. But we've been talking a lot about images and filters, but you did mention what you're saying. So how important are the descriptions for getting engagement?
Super
the
important.
Captions, I'm sorry.
The captions are super, super important. But the thing most people don't realize is that, and you see it, but you don't think about it when you're crafting your content, is that Instagram only gives you the first 3 lines, and then it says ... more.
Right.
So if you just start off on some rambling tangent that means nothing to anybody, they're never going to click ... more and read the rest of your content. You want that first sentence to be a blog post title or your email subject header or, a press release statement. You want that super catching quality piece of content that people know, oh, I want to read more about this. And so it's not just about taking pretty photos anymore. You have to be a copywriter when it comes to Instagram now. You want to have that. And if you're not good at it, find somebody on your team who is. Ask people for advice. Reach out to an editor or a friend or, can I bounce this idea off of you? What do you think? Not every post, but start to kind of get a feel for what works and evolve that copywriting so that you can tell a really good story in the first kind of 140 characters. There is no specific limit because it's really based, they're not going to cut off halfway through a word. So it's based on, where you are in the sentence where it does the ... more. But you definitely want to have something super awesome to get their attention. So they click ... more. And then you can tell your story. Then you can put in your call to action. Then you can put in your hashtags. Then you can put in whatever other stuff you want because now you've got their attention. But you have to get them to click that ... more, or you're never going to get any conversion out of it. So if you've got calls to action and that sort of stuff, you have to have that great caption.
Okay. So do you I know, yes, the first part is the most important to grab them, bring them in, but do you like a long caption or a short caption, or does it just depend?
For me, 2 to 3 short paragraphs. And a paragraph can be a sentence in my world. But 2 to 3 short paragraphs is ideal. You want something that grabs their attention. You want something descriptive, and then potentially your call to action. The call to action could be click on the link in the bio. It could be tag 2 people in the comments below. It could be, share your thoughts on this or asking a question. And you're asking, because when you ask people questions, they're going to leave comments. That drives up engagement. You're going to rank higher in the algorithmic feed, blah, 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 blah. So not every post has to have a call to action, but it's good if you are going to do that. Again, that kind of 3 paragraph works really well.
Okay.
Longer is better as long as it's not generally too long. Most people don't come to Instagram to read a novel. Now, that being said, I know a couple of accounts out there who actually use Instagram as a microblog, and they literally write like 2,000 characters because the max is 2,200. Huh. And people love it because that's what they use it for. And they've conditioned their audience to that. But the average person is not going to get away with that unless you conditioned your audience and built your audience around that. So more than one sentence, yes. The kind of so if you're scrolling through Instagram and the photo goes to the top of the feed, the top of your screen, if your text goes longer than the length of the phone, it's too much. That's kind of my standard. Okay. So if they can scroll up and see your entire caption, you're golden. If they have to keep scrolling to read, it's too much. Again, there's always exceptions to the rule, but that's kind of my golden rule for ideal maximum length. But that 2 to 3 short paragraphs is usually good.
Yeah, that works. Great. So if you don't mind, I'm going to scoot back over to where we were supposed to be on our Facebook page and see if there are any other questions that we can answer. So I know people were really getting into it. So,
I know. Stupid audio. Internet.
Very sad. So let's see. We had some comments. Step 5, 6, 7. No, everybody was super patient too. Okay.
I know. We had like almost 50 people on their live, even with all my audio cutting out. I was like, oh my God, you guys, I'm sorry. And you could see people were like dropping off, but they were like waiting, and I was like trying to come back. It was so bad.
No, so patient, so patient. Okay, so I see one comment here that only followers were liking my posts, and I think we kind of unraveled why that would be, right? Because people just aren't seeing your hashtag results if they're not following you sometimes.
And that's the thing, when you go to a hashtag gallery and you, let's say you went to hashtag love, or you went to hashtag social media, or you went to hashtag, babies of Instagram, you're going to see a boatload of content that you are from people you don't follow. So they're not hiding it from everybody. It's just, they're selective in who they're showing it to, because with a bazillion posts, when you go to hashtag love, I literally don't even think you can count how many posts are associated with that hashtag. There's no way they're going to populate all that content. So they're going to show you content that is the most current, that is still relevant. And yes, some content's going to get filtered out. That's just going to happen.
Okay. Yeah, well, that makes sense. Okay, so we had 69 comments on here. Yeah. So there, let's see, API changes. Let's see. Images.
There have been a lot of changes to the API. That keeps evolving. There were more changes just last week, or even this week. I can't remember what day of the week it is. But so they did change the API up. So now third-party apps do have more control over showing you who your followers are, how they're engaging with your content. More information for analytics is being made available to third-party apps. Obviously good news for people who use Tailwind. But they are expanding that capacity just within that for the third-party apps. I think they cut down a lot of stuff earlier this year because they were trying to shut down the math planners and the Instagresses and all those kind of bot animate automated. And so they kind of were like, nope, everybody's done. And now that I think they have a good stronghold, they're like, okay, our approved partners, we're opening up the API. You can do this, you can do that. And I think this all comes back to the fact that Instagram's trying to make it more authentic. They're trying to get away from the robotic interactions. They're trying to get away from the spam. They're trying to get away from what kind of made the platform what it was, but in a very inauthentic way. And they're trying to bring it much more. I mean, it's very Facebook-esque, right? It's all about connecting the world and communities and building friendships and relationships. And you're not doing that with a spam bot, let's face it.
No, you're not.
So they're moving in that direction. And I think opening up this API is actually going to be very helpful to anybody who uses any third-party tools, because a few months ago it was very restricted in a lot of ways. And hopefully these features will add more capability and allow us to better build our audiences that way too. Because now you'll see more about who your followers are, who's the most interactive, how can you reward them, and that sort of thing. So I think that will be good, and I think we'll keep seeing some more changes.
Yeah, I'm sure. So one person said that he heard that Instagram wasn't liking DSLR photos. like they were looking at the source of the photo. Oh no. I started you in another thing.
I go back to the point that I made. The first person who ever introduced the word shadow banning was a photographer. Now, I am not saying yes or no. And yes, as we kind of talked about, the artificial intelligence, the AI factor is looking at metadata on the photo. It is looking at content where the photo is coming from. So, of course, the photographers are noticing it the most. And does that mean it's being banned against DSLRs? It's entirely possible, but guess what? Mike just told you my engagement's 30 to 50%. So I don't use a DSLR, I use my phone, and I'm seeing the same drops in engagement. So I'm not going to turn around and say, oh, it's absolutely DSLR. It's just everybody. Yeah. And I think you and I chatted before we came on, and I was saying, I'm like, if people would spend as much time on their content as they are complaining about and theorizing about shadow banning, they wouldn't have to worry about the shadow ban. Because everyone is just looking for an excuse. And it's, oh, well, we figured this out, and we tested that, and we did that, and this is happening, and that's happening. And I'm like, you just wasted 48 hours of your life to tell me something that is probably irrelevant when you could have just gone and taken better photos. Or you could have gone and uploaded something with a better caption. Like, yes, there probably is an impact to DSLR because they are reading the metadata. But in the same terms, if Instagram was that dumb that they were going to block everybody who uploaded DSLR photos, they'd lose half their audience. Like, a lot of photographers use Instagram to build their businesses and share their quality photos. Instagram knows this. They're not preventing that. They want to encourage people to do this. So I really don't think that's happening. Okay. But again, I don't know. No one tells me anything.
No one tells me anything. Yeah, but
I want my secret backbone to Instagram. What's really happening?
I thought you had one. That's why we're on. I thought that was right behind you.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing about you though is that you will try things.
and that's, to be completely honest, like different. I literally am talking to people around the world that I've got about 4 different people, and we are literally testing things. We're testing Instagram stories. We're testing hashtags. And we are, and that's why I am talking so much about shadow banning now, because I've been testing this for about 3 months. It was really starting to become a stronghold at Social Media Marketing World back in March. People were asking me about it, and I was kind of hesitant. I was like, it's not really happening, because I didn't want to say something that would catch fire, like some of these issues do. Some people go out there and they say these things, and no one else has anything to say, so they just jump on this, and everyone's on that bandwagon, i.e. ban hashtags, ruining all other hashtags. And there's no proof of it, but somebody sees a trend, and all of a sudden it's Bible. Like, there's no questioning it. And that's not necessary. And things are always evolving. Just because something didn't work last week doesn't mean that they didn't fix that glitch and now it does work this week, but now everyone thinks this is happening. So I am always testing. That's why I always warn people. Sometimes my content does not reflect what I want it to, because I'm literally testing something. And sometimes I have to use my big account to test. I have other accounts that I do a lot of testing on.
Smart.
But I have sometimes on my big account is the only place I can really get a legitimate test. But I am working with other people around the world, and we are digging into this, and I'm happy to talk about it and answer those questions and get the real knowledge out there and stop people from freaking out, because they inevitably do, and everyone's like, it's the end of the world.
I know. Well, I am so glad that we get to have you on, so thank you for coming on. Is there anything else that you wanted to say about shadow ban? Or, I mean, I feel like I think we covered it. Okay.
But I mean, really, I just want people to really think about what they're doing with their content. That's the biggest takeaway from today, is don't worry about a shadow ban. If your content isn't performing well, look at your content. Look at your posting strategy. Look at your posting time. Look at, what your captions are. Try something different. Try different hashtags. Try a different type of content. Try videos. Try stories. Try different things. Really, Instagram is evolving, and we are at the mercy of these platforms, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter. They're always evolving, and we have to evolve with them. And rather than just jumping on these excuses and complaining about it, embrace it, move forward. And if you embrace it and move forward, you'll already be there by the time everyone else figures out what's going on, and you can start to capitalize on those new trends. So just stop worrying about it, stop blaming it. Just embrace the future of Instagram.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. So where can people find out more about you, Jenn?
Obviously, Jenn's Trends. I'm Instagram at Jenn's, JENNS_trends, and my website is jenstrends.com. Always Jenn with 2 N's because I'm one of a bazillion Jennifers in the world. So go to jenstrends.com. You can search anything related to Instagram, and I guarantee you I've written about it. If I haven't, tell me, and I will write about it. And feel free to shoot me an email too, or send a contact message. I'm always happy to answer questions. If you guys have any feedback after this, leave comments or send me an email, and we'll get back to you and answer those clearly for you.
Well, thanks again, Jenn. I really appreciate you coming on.
No worries. Thanks for having me. And I'm glad we worked out the audio.
Me too. Thank you for persevering. My goodness. Okay. Take care.
All right. Bye.